Hello, my name's Rachel Myers, and today I'm going to talk to you about avoiding negative behavior in the workplace. I'm going to begin by telling a story of what happened to me one day. I was getting ready for work, and it was one of those days when you're just really in your head. And so I got there, and the manager unlocked the door, and between her unlocking the door and the gears turning in my head, I was convinced that she had neglected to say good morning to me. And I thought that was incredibly rude. And I just became very upset about it for the next 3 days or so, until finally she came to me and she said, "What is your problem?" And I said, "Excuse me? What is your problem?" I was, of course, assuming that she was the one who had been rude. Well, she the whole time was assuming that I had been rude, not replying to her good morning, which was lost on me between the sound of my thoughts and the sound of the door being opened. That's an example of negative workplace behavior that could have been avoided had we been taught about basics of interpersonal and organizational coping mechanisms that deal with negative workplace behavior. One of which is emotional resilience, which had both she and I been taught the concept of emotional resilience, we did not show emotional resilience, but had we gone on and carried on with good attitudes instead, that would have been a good example of emotional resilience. The best way of looking at how these behaviors affect our corporate culture is to divide them into two separate categories, one of which is interpersonal, which can be an example of what my coworker and I engaged in, and the other is organizational. Organizational is generally characterized by a desire to do the corporation harm. It can encompass stealing or sabotage. Two categories, it's easy to manage and prevent. You just have to know the tools to do so. Interpersonal conflicts can be managed by, like I said, teaching emotional resilience. They can also be managed by just teaching good conflict management as well. An open door policy can help. If your subordinates feel as a manager that they're able to come to you with their problems, hopefully you can be the mediator and aid them in clearing that up. Organizationally, you want to create a healthy climate, which means a place that employees not only want to come to work every day, but feel that they are free to express themselves within the confines of being professional while they're there. Once again, I want to reiterate that negative behavior affects a workplace negatively. It can decrease production, and sometimes, some instances, it can cause to a loss of employees. It can cause them to no longer want to work there anymore, in which the corporation suffers a decline in productivity, as I said. They affect everyone from the top down. There's not a single level of management that is not affected by interpersonal conflicts and organizational conflicts. And the fact that emotional resilience can be one of the best coping mechanisms. It's something that you, as an employer or an employee, personally control, and that should be, I believe, the basis upon which our corporate culture builds these coping mechanisms into their corporate programs. And then finally, open communication. As I said, having an open door policy really does make a difference. And that's my speech. I'm Rachel Myers. Thank you for listening.